at lower, we are still talking about lower energies and how that can capture us and determine our behavior. So let's just reiterate one more time, right? Because this actually relates to all of us. So every human being has the potential of behaving like an animal that predominantly focuses on lust, greed, and jealousy. Then you have animal like behavior, anger, and aggression. So then you have pure evil or Satan like behavior, which we have seen in people and even leaders from the past, like Hitler, for instance. So, and lastly, you can behave like an angel or manifest divine angelic behavior. So, again, the choices are ours, right? We can behave angelic and be angelic in character, or be like a Satan. And many people, again, they have allowed the lower energies of animals to become their main character pillar. So again, it's a choice we make. We're all aware, we're all awake to some degree. We know how we are behaving, and we can do something about it. We can take ownership of our behavior if we wish to. It requires a lot of effort, because if I am filled with anger all the time, then I if I'm aware and awake, then I can do something about it to change that anger into compassion. Everything can be converted. All emotions can be converted into a better emotion. For example, there are people who are always filled with anger and rage. They are always angry at everything and everyone. So we all have to go through incarnating as every living species. And sometimes we have carried with us lower energies of a particular species along with our spiritual and karmic growth through various lifetimes. So this may be lower energies of an animal, and which its main characteristic of an animal could be, like for instance, a wild dog is known for its anger. It has to survive. The dog has to use its anger to survive, and it has to mark its territory and guard its territory from other animals, and thus it has to show anger as its strength. So for dogs, anger is their strength, not weakness. So it will attack anything and anybody who comes in the way. This anger is needed for survival, because the main character of the animal is used anger for survival. So, as I told Abdul, it is the character which reflects the true nature. So the qualities of dogs and pigs are present in human nature. And when you allow these characteristics to dictate your life, then it determines whether a man is satanic or angelic, right? If you come to understand that there is an inner controller or conscience, you come to assess your deeds and find out which of these four qualities influence and predominate over you. Let's take the example of a pig. The pig is so greedy that when hungry, if there is no food around, it eats its own crap. We have countless such animals around who are so greedy that to satisfy their greed, they will do anything and everything. For that diamond necklace, for that house, for that car, for that increased salary, for that man or for that woman. We even lust for other people's spouses, for that post, for that power, for that fame, adulation, anything. So we use our, again, greed, which is the characteristic of a pig. So gluttony, actually, to gain what we have to gain. There are no limitations, and there's no realization here. And the only true possession one has is God's, goddess, master, and all that is transitory. Everything one gets obsessed with goes away from reality of the spirit and is concentrated on the illusion of the gross or material. That individual is swimming in the pool of greed. And we know, again, in our lives, in our daily lives, people we come across, even our own kith and kin, sometimes we can see the predominant trait in them. They lust for power. They are hungry and they have a gluttony for, recognition or fame or money. We see it all around us. We always have one or the other member of the family who is like that. So your expression is like a man. Okay, okay. So okay, give where do you get these analogies and expressions from? Asked Rabda. Again in jest. They have their banter going on throughout the book. So there are countless who are present to hear this. So an individual can predominantly have one or four characteristics, which we spoke about yesterday, but is again reiterating so that we can embrace this truth and then do something about it. So each individual, anger, lust, greed, Satan likeness, and angel likeness, each individual is capable of harboring each and every characteristic. But eventually, there will be one characteristic that rules. So, okay. So even when you understand the four characteristic traits that predominantly rule mankind, um, be it a pig, dog, or anything that you can. Sometimes people compare people with snakes, so who will just bite, and so externals really don't matter, appearances don't matter. But you can see the character of the person when you start interacting with that person. You know exactly what where they're coming from. So when you control the surge of anger, greed, luster, slander, gossip, it means you have begun to walk the path. So that's most important. Coming to now, okay, you recognized that I have predominant anger in me, or a predominant reactivity in me, which is part of anger. So you have subdivisions also. Then when you control that surge and say, okay, I'm not going to be greedy for materialism anymore. I am not going to have this lust for the next bag because I don't need it. My wardrobe is full of bags. My wardrobe is overflowing with clothes. So I don't need it. I want it. When we recognize and define the difference between need and want, then we are walking the path. When we start shedding off and we start detaching slowly but surely. So when you recognize this, then you walk the path, and you have begun to use the power of oneness in God, and you have begun to use the power of discrimination. In each individual, there is a divine controller. If you observe yourself and the way you live, you will realize which of the four characteristics rule you. What I told Abdul and what he has written, Abdul, remember, is a person who writes everything that Baba um, speaks. So he's writing his documenting Baba's teachings. So I told Abdul, and what he has written is exactly the same. If you tie the pig of vices, then contentment, the fear of God, humility, wisdom, goodness, and meekness will arise in you. So you have to tie that knot, that pig of vices. So recognize it first and then tie it. Then you're walking the path. If you become a slave, however, of the dog of vices, that insolence, impurity, pride, boastfulness, ego, false humility, regarding others as inferior, and keeping close to base people will become a part of your character. So when we are weak, we keep such people around us also because we draw comfort from that. And we feel that we're not alone in this lower energies. If you keep this dog under control, however, then success, honor, greatness, and forgiveness will arise in you automatically. So when your anger abates after you recognizing it, then gradually your forgiveness, greatness, success, honor, respect that you gain in society, these will become your companions till the very end of your life. So Rabda says Baba Sai in the end, that each individual is eventually the master of his or her destiny. So we're the captain of our ship. And when we do our meneth, then God showers his rahmat. But we must do the meneth of becoming, of operating rather, from our higher energies. Many people think if they do not get angry or not greedy, all is well, but even that is wrong. If you talk badly about others, you're behaving like a pig who eats his own crap. Every time you gossip, you behave like a pig eating. You may have anger and lust under your control, But remember, you're still eating your own crap. When you deceive somebody, when you sell goods that are badly made, when you're cunning in your business dealings, when you destroy the faith in others, or you destroy the faith in themselves, when you are not true to yourself or you deceive yourself, it means you are not listening to the one within you. You are still being governed by the lower energies, though outwardly you may be behaving angelic. So these kind of people, they have their own satanic behavior, um, is what controls them. Although outwardly they're angelic, but inwardly their satanic behavior is controlling them. Abdul has written clearly what I told him: do not be under their control, triumph over them. So do not let them defeat you, triumph over them through consistent practice. Practice makes progress. If you truly discriminate, then wisdom, knowledge, learning, ingenuity, ability, good conduct, caring for the welfare of others, perseverance, and all these good qualities will no doubt arise because they are God qualities. They are living in God consciousness. So they will keep you company and serve you well till the end and beyond. So one has to decide what one wants, the four categories to imbibe and become eventually, or chant your master's name. And the more you chant, the more the vices will mitigate and finally dissolve. So it comes back to being on God's path and praying hard every day or regularly. Just pray. चलते फिरते भी गुरु जी said मेरा मंत्र जाप चलता रहना चाहिए. यहाँ बैठ के 1 घंटा याद करो, जैसे भी याद करो. And that awakens the God consciousness inside you. So how many people operate actually from calmness and truly are honest with themselves about their flaws? Very few. Very few are actually honest about their flaws, strengths, weaknesses, limitations. The need to go within, be calm, is not their priority. So a lot of people avoid facing themselves. Is the hardest thing to do, to face your own reality, to face your own selves, inner selves, because there's a lot of muck that comes out. And when the muck comes out, people can't deal with it. That's why they say that a lot of people can't go into deep meditation, because when you go deep, you are bound to throw out a lot of your inner muck that is there. So, but you have to be honest, you have to be prepared to deal with it and to resolve it. So, even if it means sitting and being aware that, oh my God, there's so much anger in me, when it comes out, when you delve deep, then deal with that anger. Some people put a lid on it that I can't deal with this. I can't deal with being alone, because being alone means being all one. You look at the spelling alone, all one. But it's very hard to be all one when the muck is coming out. It's bound to come out. It's spring cleaning, right? You open your wardrobe, decide I'm going to clean all my wardrobe. You throw out stuff first, and then it becomes clean. So that's the analogy. But throwing out requires effort, consistent effort. So the need to go within, be calm, should be a priority for everybody, to be comfortable in their skin and to spend as much time alone as possible, because it should be as important as breathing. When you go within and you're calm and centered, when you accept your lot calmly with positive surrender, with full knowledge that I can bring my lower energies down further and dissolve them and make my higher energies go up through compassion, love, kindness. The need to go within and come from calmness and not from reaction should be predominant. And then you will go, then you will hear what you need to, be guided, and then move on the path. But how many people are truly centered and have embraced their lot gracefully after giving their best? How many do not live a life of reaction but of calm action? Very few. But this is what we need to aspire to. How many want to come from the only need of making the Lord and Master happy and proud of them each moment of their existence? When we do something wrong, we feel Guruji nahi dekh rahe. When we do something right, Guruji dekh rahe hain. So it becomes a dikhava. It's not a genuine um, search for God. It's not a genuine love for our master. When you come from such predominant need of calmness, the guru within is bound to emerge, seeing that mera bacha mehnat kar raha hai. It wants to be a good human being. It wants to progress on the spiritual path. Therefore, then Guruji himself comes and handholds us to take us further. That is why, for most people, a guru is mandatory. But for those who truly want to walk the path and are one with their breath and their calmness, the guru's voice is heard. So, so that was, I think that's what it is about. And it's written a quote: when silence begins to grow within you, it begins to fortify the individual by healing the aura. So remember, when we have a weak aura, the lower energies permeate. And sometimes our weak aura is so full of darkness that no further energies can even permeate because it's so surrounded already by thick, impassable darkness. So the only wise and commonsensical way of going through life is calmly, not reacting, giving your best, and leaving the rest to him, your divine master. So now they took a walk, Baba Sai and Rabda. So it was snowing, so they were strolling along, but they never felt cold, nor did the breeze envelop them. It was silent, but not a stagnant silence. It was a calm silence. And Rabda could see scores of astral beings seated in prayer. And Rabda realized that each being was praying in his or her way and the prayer closest to his or her art. It doesn't matter what you pray, what chants you do, but of course, our Guruji has given us some chants. These people were chanting Islamic verses in gratitude to Allah. Some were chanting the Gayatri Mantra. Some saying the Avesta prayers. Some asking Mother Mary to bless every being. Rabda could even hear the Japji Sahib of the Sikhs. He could hear Buddhist chants, Native American song-like prayers, Jain praying, those who do not believe in organized religion praying to the One. It was like every prayer that was ever penned, prayed, or said for the glory of God, the peace of all living beings, seeking protection for mankind and every living being that breathed, for the well-being for all those from the past, present, and those who come into the future, was breathed to the One, all at one time, and Rabda could hear it all. And yet, hear everyone praying singly, and it was strange and surreal, the perfect symphony, an orchestra in unison, a musician, as well as part of the ultimate rock band. Rabda was so overwhelmed that he knelt, shut his eyes, and prayed, strangely not for himself, for every being in the physical dimension. Wherever the being was in, whatever part of the universe, he just prayed. Baba made signs, different signs, in various directions, and each time he made a sign, a blast of light emitted from him and traveled in that direction. So even when Guruji used to be sitting, we could not see the sparks of light coming out of him. But of course, those sparks of light was healing not just those who sat with him and who today sit in satsangs. He is constantly blessing the world by throwing his sparks of light onto the entire mankind. We don't know who is, even though you may think, oh, Guruji is here in this satsang, of course he is, but Guruji is light and he's emitting his light throughout the universe. So there's no limit to our Guruji's greatness, his grace. He emits light sitting in one place, but is emitting it in every nook and cranny of the universe, wherever it is required. So Rabda hoped that if this was a dream, he never wanted to waken from it. And if this was real, he never wanted to go back to his body. If death was this beautiful, he prayed for each living being in physical dimension that once and for all live in a manner that would bring them to this state of serenity and purpose finally. Now they returned to the cave. Baba was aglow. Sparks emitted from him and disappeared. So many entered within him and merged. Rabda realized how insignificant his life had been. There was so much peace to spread, so much of oneness to share, so much of love to be filled with. But what a hash he and most people made of the blessing called life. So we waste our life, we squander our life in trivialities, doing nothing but engaging in gossip, just getting ready, going to our kitty parties, making it as shallow as possible. Not that kitty parties are wrong, but along with it, Guruji used to say, "Ha duniya ti cheezain enjoy karo." But along with it, pray and pray for the entire mankind. Do your seva, do it for others, selflessly. Do charity, and again, do it with a whole heart and do it with love and compassion for others. Sarbadda bala mango, apna bhi bala mango, sarbadda bala mango. So we need to have a balance of the spiritual and the social in our lives, and that is when we are walking the path. When we have both, we are into the world, so therefore enjoy the worldly pleasures, but never forget the prayer. Baba prepared the chilim and they smoked. There was nothing to say at the moment. Rabda could not get the image of the countless beings all in prayer, praying for the mercy of all, the well being of creation, and the glorification of the One. It seemed like a fraction of a second or an era. Rabda was not certain. But Baba smiled, and Rabda realized that all of the splendor accumulated on earth and in heaven paled in comparison to the old man's smile. You knew you were safe. You knew all was well with the world and in heaven. You knew you belonged. Most importantly, you knew there was no duality. It was oneness and only oneness. So the depth of understanding oneness is when we truly embrace all humanity without discrimination, without resentment. Even though we might think certain people are doing wrong from different races, but we must still embrace that oneness and not get into duality because we are all part of the one light. They may be doing wrong, but by us reacting instead of responding with prayer, we are also creating more karma. Rabda, there are few simple truths. I have said this time and again, I will say it once more. The first, most important truth, I am not a jiva or creature. Most people identify themselves as the being they are contained in. A spirit in a man's body identifies with being a man. A woman identifies with the feminine aspect of a being. A dog identifies itself of a dog. But anything, anywhere that lives in pure Atma, are part of the prime Atma called the Paramatma. The individual is not a man, woman, animal, bird, insect. It has taken the body to work out its karma and its spiritual evolution. So we must not even get attached to our body. We must take care of it because the body is the temple where our soul resides, where our divinity resides. But we must not become obsessed with our physical form. We have taken this physical form and this particular body of ours so that we can work out our karmas. It is, in the end, temporary. And we must remember this every morning, but we must take care of it, however, because the body has to work till the very end. It has to work optimally. Each one is a vibrant being that has come from the source. We've all come from the source. And there's nobody is a creature or a jiva, but we all are the essence and part of Guruji, the light, the source. So whatever you want to name him, names don't matter. It is the energy that we need to connect with. So again, there are people from different walks of life and different even cultural backgrounds who are now connecting to Guruji. So it is not about connecting or understanding the Gurbani. It is merely listening to it. By listening to it, we are connecting to the energy of the vibration and energy of Guruji's Surup there. He used to say, "Mere Surup nal nahi attach ho." Because pehle bhi main si hoon bhi main aate agge bhi main. But I can come in any form. I am formless and I am form. The second eternal truth is that I am not the body, and the greatest fallacy is that the body is the soul or the individual. No, it's not. So until you get into your very odd shaped head that you are not the body, but the spirit in the body, you will always be trapped within the workings of the five elements and karma. The first step to walk away from the cacophony of duality and karma and illusion is to realize that you are not the body, but you are the spirit within that body. So connect to that spirit by being in silence. Again, silence is truly our strength. Our greatest strength is silence. So you're not a creature and you're not the body. When you stop identifying yourself with the body, you begin for the first time to give your true essence the power and the freedom to explore the oneness and the source that you and each living being comes from. The moment you drop the illusion that you are the body, you begin to give power to your very soul to soar to the source. Otherwise, you can say every prayer ever written, but till you acknowledge and live this reality that you are God's essence within the body, and thus you are not the body, and you always were the essence of God, then nothing can taint you, nothing can pollute you, nothing can destroy you. That you are purity personified in your original state and peace. Nobody can ever hurt you if you feel that you are the divine living in this body. And that is what we exude. Our aura then is protected. The moment you identify yourself as a spirit, his impression, you give yourself, your mind, and your very essence the freedom to soar heaven bound and dive deep into the very depths of your being and original source is what prevails. So now you come to the fourth reality that I am God, or the fourth illusion that I am not God. When you realize that God, the world, and every creature are one, and you focus on the spirit within you, सब गोविंद है, Guruji used to say, सब गोविंद है. एक दिन आएगा आप मुझे मूवी के गानों में, whether it's English or Hindi, whatever songs, pop music, you will see me in everything. You will see my spark in every morsel, every molecule of life. So God is eternal, God is limitless, He's boundless. So therefore, we must never limit him by saying, Guruji, ye kehte the, ye nahi kehte the. Guruji, everything is Guruji's, everything is God's. If you're living in God consciousness, you realize that God is in everything, small, insignificant, and yet the largest and most significant. So God is the spark and God is the light. Thus, the individual comes to the conclusion that everything has come from him and her, and that you yourself are the creator, and thus I am God. When you go truly within, the one who breathes the body to which the breath enters is exhaled, and every breath all become one. So there is no difference, but we are not living in God consciousness, most of us. So therefore, we can never say that the divinity is awakened within us. It only awakens through prayers and good karmas. One to whom the prayers are being recited, eventually all become one. Who is then praying and who is being worshipped all slowly fade away and just oneness prevails. Of course, I'm not saying all this comes easy, not at all. It can take lifetimes, but at least we must take the first step in drowning the pool of duality. Without true realization, if an individual claims he or she is God, big problems begin to rise, of course, because you are deluding the consciousness of realization. There's a lot of people in today's world who are making money from saying that I am God and I am God consciousness or I'm the man of God. And that is totally incorrect. And of course, it is misguiding people and it is a great sin. Some people can predict the future, of course. Some can, out of air, procure ash or a gold watch. Some can even see what is present countless miles away. Some can also heal. All these are slideshows. These are not remotely close to the real film. God realization is like 8 acres of a rose garden. You cannot prevent the fragrance from reaching you, and you cannot not see the ethereal dance of colors coming forth from the ocean of flowers. You cannot fake all this. You cannot partially be pregnant. You have to go all the way. The fifth point now is very similar to the above points, but it has a little difference, which is really important. This is the last point and the last page also. Now, you're the spirit and you're not the body. But it is important to also know that the body is not spirit and thus it is temporal. So, fifth reality is this: the body is not the soul, or being in the illusion of not knowing that this body is not the soul. Why is this important? You may know you are not the body, but it is important for you to realize that this body is not the soul. And thus it will decay, it is bound to age, it is bound to fall apart, besieged by illness. And as when that knowledge seeps within your being, your identification with the body dies completely. Otherwise, you may believe that you are not the body, but your identification with the body still remains. So you are still Anita or whoever you are, and you are still not free from the clutches of all that is temporary. Thus, as important as the knowledge that you are the spirit is the knowledge that the body is not part of you and part of your permanent self. And the last important reality of knowledge you have to ingrain within yourself is the fact that God, the world, Jiva are one. Once again, this may sound repetitive, but I cannot emphasize it enough. A human being can keep praying until these few realities are not embraced or illusions are not breathed away. True spiritual knowledge can never begin. Then it is all shallow and superficial and temporary. Yes, you can be a decent human being, but that means you will reap the benefits of your good deeds as a human being only. However, that does not necessitate that your true spiritual journey has begun. Remember who is a spiritual person. The person who believes he or she is a spirit and not the body, thus believing he or she is the one, from the one, thus acknowledging that he or she is the one, thus understanding clearly that God, the world, and every being, including the individual, all one. So oneness has to be embraced. So call the person good, decent, call the person still work in progress, spiritually cannot enter the picture till the very tenets of being the spirit are met, and those will not be met till the realization begins. But that also comes, I would say, with meher. You know, our bhakti and the shakti in our bhakti also happen only when we are on the path, one, we are doing the mehnat, but then we receive his meher also. So when we let go of the meher, then the meher seeps into our lives. And when the meher seeps in, the meditation goes deeper, stillness becomes deeper, and we are then shedding off all the superficialities and the temporary characteristics of our own being, and we merge into the one. So always remember that good acts form character and raise man's status. So the emphasis is operate from the higher energies and also indulge and engage in good acts. Because when we do good deeds, this forms our character eventually. So again, it's work in progress, but every day when we do a good deed, we smile at somebody we don't really feel like smiling at. When we're kind to somebody we don't really feel like being kind to, and they don't reciprocate, it doesn't matter. You do good anyway. You be good anyway. You smile anyway, because that is what will define our character, and it'll raise us as humans. It'll raise our status. And Guruji is always happy when he sees his children making that effort of being on a good path and operating from higher energies. So now let's talk about Guru. So Guru is imperative. To have a Guruji, to have a Guru in our lives is imperative to guide us and guard us. The eternal Guru is within each one of us, which Guruji used to say. The voice is the voice of the one. That voice comes forth from the depth of the eternal womb. That voice is within every living being, but it is buried, again, it is buried under the myriad of and a heapful of multiple karmic dumping or baggage. So it is suppressed The voice of God is all within us, but it is suppressed by the karmic baggage that has totally deafened it out. It is very difficult for an individual to clear that vault or dumping ground of karmic give and take, sow and reap, stagnating needs, and then there is subconscious clutter, which most people are not even aware of. What is it that the subconscious mind, which determines our behavior, which we've carried again for many lifetimes? Then there is a conscious reaction to everything said, unsaid, seen, unseen, heard, unseen, unheard. So, thus, to be able to hear and see the eternal Guru within requires great discipline, unflinching focus, and an attitude of, I'd rather die than not reach the depths of the internal ocean, get the oyster, and reach the pearl. So it is, therefore, the Maryada in a satsang. How do we remember Guruji? Mainly in a satsang, because on our own we'll have many distractions. The phone will keep ringing, or somebody will keep messaging, our domestic will keep calling out to us. घर गृहस्थी में बहुत मुश्किल होता है. That's why Guruji has given us the gift of satsangs. But even in satsangs today, there are many distractions. People are taking photos of the darbar. They are more interested in making a perfect picture of the darbar and posting it on Instagram rather than being in the present and delving deep within. So they are still distracted and they're still external, looking outside of themselves. They are still, observing the sangat around, who's wearing what, who's not wearing what. So Maryada, our satsang, is imperative for our own growth. Don't worry about what others are doing. You close your eyes and you connect to Guruji. Whether your eyes are closed or open, closed eyes are better. But even if they're open, your our focus should only be Guruji, not Sangat, not the Darbar, only Guruji's energy. That is the connect we need to make. If we are to dive deep into our internal ocean, and if we are to get that oyster. Should I continue? It's one chapter more, but it's a small chapter, if you allow me, if everybody's okay. And
sure, Aunty, please continue.
Sorry, I need to drink water. I really believe what he's saying now, Baba Sai. We need to ask for this. Can they say manno mangoni? But jab asli cheez mango aap Guru se. When you ask your Guru, that Guruji mujhe dedication de do, bhakti de do, bhakti mein shakti de do. Mujhe sikhaiye kaise andar jana hai. Then that is better and safe and easier to be guided by the external Guru. And he gives us, he grants us, no matter what. With time, we realize we are going deeper. We are becoming more disciplined. We are not taking our phone out to take, the photo of the darbar. It's futile. We don't even look at that picture later. So we are wasting that 2 hours or 2.5, 3 hours in a satsang by being external again and not going with the internal. So even to be undistracted, we can ask our Guru to help us. Guruji, help me on this spiritual journey. Abdul and countless Sufis came to me before 1910. He's digressing now. I was either a wali or an awliya to some Hazrat and to Qutb. Sorry, my voice is gone now. As it is said, you can see me whichever way you want to see me, as a Sufi or as an Allah or a God or a Krishna or whatever. With these Sufis and yogis that came, the first step towards clearing out a lot of dirt or unblocking passages and openings in the astral body, as well as the physical body, was to fast, sleep less, and talk less. So that was the first thing the Sufis always did. They would fast, they would sleep less and talk less. I mean, Guruji, one day I went to Guruji and I said, Guruji, मैं Monday के fast रखती हूँ. तो फास्ट ठीक है ना कहते की लोड़ है भूखे रहना थोड़ी ना रब मिलता है so Guruji, being such a practical guru, never said to fast is important or imperative, but of course if you want to keep it, don't keep it for God, keep it for yourself, for your detox of the body, because it's nothing to do with really progressing us. Yes, it teaches us discipline, and it's also detaching us from so many things. So once you reach the top of the mountain, nothing matters. A master can eat all day and talk all day or seemingly sleep all day. He is beyond matter and the laws of cause and effect, and the five elements and the laws of the five elements that rule the earth. But as long as you're still climbing up the path, there are certain guidelines. So I used to allow Abdul to eat very little, eat one simple dish, no mixing of any types of food, and sleep for a short time. We would all be awake till late in the night, talking, praying, joking, so that sleep was kept at bay. Anyhow, about sleep I will talk later. Now let us focus on food. So if we are really walking the path, we must abstain from very heavy to digest food or a large quantity of food, as food is made up of five elements. And those five elements are governed by the law of gravity, which drag the soul down. The body is working overtime to digest this food, and thus sleep comes about. So when we overeat, we all notice this, we feel sleepy in the day, we get food coma. So where is the time to really sit and remember him? Even if we have good intentions, we switch on our music system and say, okay, I'm going to remember Guruji today. I'm going to listen to 1 hour Shabad Gurbani. We fall asleep because the food was too heavy on our system. So everything is about balance again. For a common man or woman, however, somebody with a family to take care of, Ghar Grihasti, like Guruji said, somebody who needs to travel to work, works all day, travels back, then takes on home responsibilities, how can I advocate fasting? So again, be practical. When you're in Ghar Grihasti and you have your family members to take care of, how does fasting even serve you? No, it doesn't. Being out in the world requires a lot of physical strength and stamina. I cannot allow my children to fall sick or get weak and then not be able to discharge their responsibilities. Thus, food becomes important. Eat moderately, however. Eat slowly, eat well, but never overeat. Eat how much you truly require. Do not be greedy. But fasting for a householder, Ghar Grihasti wale, never. On the other hand, for those on the spiritual path, fasting is mandatory. The point is, how come my children now listen to and insist on this particular point that Baba Sai made clear not so fast, not to fast, and don't obey the countless other things I have told, advised, or insisted on. Everybody's using me today as an excuse not to fast. How come nobody uses me as an excuse to not lie, hurt, cheat, gossip, slander, deceive, manipulate? Everyone is using God today to suit their own convenience. Ram ko khilona jana. So people are making their own rules, even in satsangs. People are making up stuff. The Guruji said this, Guruji said that. Why do they not just focus on what I said, what enables your growth? The positive aspects of my teachings. Baba Sai has said, do not fast and also do not hurt others. Not to be mean to others. Do not backbite. Do not simply fight when one can keep silent and with dignity speak one's mind out. How come only do not fast is so sternly adhered to? We all apply, we all adhere to things which suit our convenience. As it suits everybody to go and stuff their faces with pizzas and foods of different kinds, people just remember Guruji ne kaha tha ya Sai Baba ne kaha tha, do not fast. Fasting is important, but it is for certain people. And eat to nourish your body and not to fill your stomach as though the stomach is because the stomach is as barely as big as your fist. God, in His infinite wisdom, made the stomach elastic so it can accommodate 20 times the quantity each individual needs. So eat enough. When I say do not fast, I also said eat just enough to nourish yourself and not to kill yourself with food. Do not make an obsession out of food. Eating out, entertaining only over food. Can you meditate or pray with a heavy stomach? Of course you cannot. So that is the reason why I say that do not overeat. And when you can, if you're not in Gristi, then you fast. If you are an individual who is only on the spiritual path. So again, these are all Guruji's teachings, very practical and very doable. So it's the middle path again that needs to be followed. No extreme should be taken in under any circumstances. But it talks about again, really connecting to the divine within us because the divine is within us all. And Guruji also said, "मैं end ਵਿੱਚ ਆਇਆ ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਦੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਨੂੰ ਜਗਾਉਣ." So he's come to awaken our inner God, but it is crushed with our karmic baggage. To lighten the baggage, we need to do again repetition, and we learn only through repetition. Gupt Part, Gupt Seva, Guptan. Satsang Seva Simran. So when we keep doing this with repetition, then the karmic baggage becomes lighter and lighter. And finally, the God consciousness awakens within us. And that is the beauty of living in Grahgrasti and still awakening the divinity. So it is so beautiful, so practical. Like Guruji said, मैं practical guru हाँ. तोनू घर गृहस्थी विच ही रब दिखा रहे हैं. So keep remembering him, following his hukam, and keep loving each other and never operate from lower energies. When we do, we must be aware that we are, apologize to Guruji, apologize to the person we're hurting, and say, I will never do this again. I make a pledge to my soul, to the God within, that I will be better and not bitter. I will be operating, hopefully, always, if I'm awake and with awakened energies within me, I will always operate from my higher self. Always think before you react. Always think before you speak. Always think before you will get provoked. Think, give yourself a moment. Take a few deep breaths. Think, is it worth me getting provoked? Is it worth me reacting? Is it worth me just saying anything? Silence is golden at times. So respond, even provocations or, unfavorable, unsavory comments made towards us, responded with a graceful and dignified silence. Jai Guruji. Thank you so much for today's reading. I hope you all enjoyed, and there is a takeaway for each one of you, which we can implement and apply to our lives today. So let's see if somebody provokes you, makes you angry. Let's see how you respond to it now.